What is going on, guys? ScorpionSlayer66 here, coming at you for another month of vinyl pickups. I got a ton of stuff, so I'm going to hop right into it. So this first thing is actually kind of a plug for my Instagram. I'm giving away this Tyler the Creator Flower Boy bootleg record. If you guys didn't know, this had a very limited pre-order, so it's pretty desired by everybody, so bootlegs in and of themselves are pretty expensive, and I listened to this, and it's actually a pretty decent bootleg. But yeah, I'm giving this away on my Instagram at JaredMorganVinyl. I'll put the name in the description and stuff. So yeah, when I hit 2,000 followers, I'll be giving this away. So let's get there soon. So the first three items are all from a trade from my good friend 64-Bit for Life. I traded him, I think, a Sublime record, a Beastie Boys record, and something else, and he sent me the next three things, including this, a sealed copy of the 1976 Montreal Olympic Games. Hell yeah, dude. Been looking for this one for a while, and to find a sealed copy is even better, so yeah, very excited. Thank you, Connor. The next thing he traded me is a recent reissue of the Violent Femmes self-titled debut. One of the most important albums in terms of, like, punk, honestly. It really shaped, like, a weird sound. It was, like, freak punk, folk punk, whatever you want to describe it as, but yeah, a really good album. It didn't get popular until, like, the 90s when it was on a compilation, so it's kind of funny to think that one of our most cherished albums of all time was once really unknown by the masses. So hopefully this doesn't get flagged for nudity, but this was the main thing that I traded him for. This is the original band cover of Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland, and looking at the front gatefold, I can definitely see why it was banned. I mean, it's literally just a bunch of nude women posing with a picture of Hendrix and Axis Bold as Love. So yeah, very, very cool though. This is my favorite Hendrix album, so I'm very happy to have this. Really cool collector's piece, and again, huge thank you to Connor. Next up was a $2 bin find at Record Revival in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, and this is Stevie Wonder's Hotter Than July. I'm not the most knowledgeable on Wonder's whole career. I'm just very familiar with his big albums, and I enjoy them. And somebody told me that this was probably the last fantastic album that he ever made, so when I saw it for $2, had to grab it. It's in really nice shape, so why not? Always adding to my Neil Young collection, this is Neil Young and Crazy Horse Live Rust. Just another fantastic live album. I mean, Neil Young and Crazy Horse Live just had such a bizarre yet fantastic chemistry with one another. They managed to play some of the most somber tunes of Young's career and some of the loudest, and they just made it seem so effortless, and they really add a new energetic sound to it, doing it live in front of a crowd of people. So yeah, this was a couple bucks, had to grab it. So I had really been wanting to explore into Echo and the Bunnymen, and it turned out the day that I wanted to start exploring them, I go to my record store and they just so happen to have this. And this is Heaven Up Here by Echo and the Bunnymen. From what I've told by many fans of them, this is one of their better records, maybe like their second best. Some people say it's their favorite. So yeah, I've never seen an album of theirs like in the wild, even like reissues and stuff, so this was really cool to find. I believe it's an original, but I hadn't fact checked that. But yeah, really cool to find, and it was just coincidental that I looked into it. Still haven't listened to it, but I will make time soon. So next up I grabbed this, I think it was like $5. This is a 1980 reissue of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. I had only had the recent reissue, so I wanted to see what an older one sounds like. 80s is kind of shaky when it comes to records, but this one was okay. I still prefer the sound of the remaster, but yeah, still cool. Whoever signed their name can burn in hell. So I think I got this for like $7 or $8, and this is Kraftwerk's Computer World. Now, Kraftwerk was a huge band in terms of my evolution with music, so I've wanted a lot of their records. I just haven't made the effort to buy them, if that makes any sense. But I saw this out in the wild. It was really cheap, and it's definitely one of their better albums. I remember listening to like this and The Man Machine so much in my early high school years. So yeah, cool find, really cheap, nice shape, had to add it. This was really nice to find. This is Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney's Ram. Probably my favorite Paul McCartney solo album. He really took everything that he learned in the Beatles and really made it into a fascinating, different style of pop music. And it just works so well on here with how many different genres they try to mess around with. And it just creates this really awesome, like, cohesive yet diversive track listing. So yeah, really pretty gatefold. I love the color choices they used and how they like cut out the images on there. So yeah, very, very cool. I believe this is an original pressing, and again, I only found it for like $6, so definitely had to have this one. So this was a pretty bizarre pickup for me, and this is Aphex Twin Richard D. James album. Now, I'm not super into Aphex Twin's type of music, but I really do like his ambient stuff, so when I saw this, I decided to pick it up. I have not listened to it yet, but from what people tell me, it's definitely one of his better albums. So yeah, pretty standard pressing in here. Really bizarre and creepy cover art, but you know, it's kind of iconic in its own right now. So yeah, this was a reissue, so it was like $16.99, but I'll try out any music that people keep telling me to listen to. So I just got this in today, and goddamn was I disappointed, but this is Frank Ocean's Nostalgia Ultra. Now, the place that I usually buy my bootleg records from never disappoint me. They're always on point, and they're pretty cheap. So this is actually the most I've ever paid for one, and it's the shittiest product I've ever got from them. Like, first off, the record sleeve isn't a standard like 12.5 by 12.5. It's a lot smaller. Like, if you saw it in the package, like my sleeve, it's smaller than the sleeve, which all the other records fit perfectly in. And it was supposed to be green, and it just comes on like this clear vinyl, and it didn't even include a goddamn paper sleeve. So yeah, the product I've paid the most for on their eBay store turns out to be the worst. I messaged them, we're trying to resolve it. They never messaged me back, but I just messaged them like yesterday. So yeah, kind of disappointed because you'll see why in a minute when I explain. But yeah, it's whatever. I'll deal with it, and if they can get me a different copy, that's cool. So from the same bootleg eBay store, I got this amazing copy of Frank Ocean's Unreleased Miscellaneous Volume 1. Now, this was about half the price that I paid for Nostalgia Ultra, and it's 10 times better. So first off, it's a correct size record sleeve. The record art doesn't look blown up and pixelated and disgusting. And they actually have paper sleeves, and they actually came on the colors that were advertised, which is like, one's clear, and then I believe the other one is clear as well. So it's 2 albums. I paid less for it than a single album, and it came out fine. Again, bootlegs are never going to sound the best because they're not professionally done, but you can get them a little bit better than CD quality, and this fits about like a CD quality, but still cool. I love Frank Ocean, and I wanted a complete collection of his, so this is just one step further. And then from the same store, I also bought Frank Ocean Unreleased Miscellaneous Volume 2. So this was supposed to close out the collection, at least Nostalgia Ultra was supposed to close out my complete Frank Ocean album collection because I had all of them until I ordered that one. But yeah, again, really nice. It's a bootleg, so you can't expect the greatest quality again, but the packaging is really nice. And the records came on like these cool like Coke bottle or like kind of peachy clear looking records over here. So yeah, pretty cool. Again, it was like $20, and they're not much better than MP3 rips or CD quality, but I mean, I love Frank Ocean, so I had to have it. So this I was very excited to find. I've never seen this out in the wild again, and my local record store just happened to have it when I was going in just browsing through. So yeah, this is Thom Yorke's The Eraser. If you guys don't know Thom Yorke, he was the lead singer of Radiohead, and a couple times he's done different projects with different groups, and he's also done solo work, and his solo work is pretty much as good as most Radiohead albums in my personal opinion. Definitely like one of the best solo off-puts of any band I've ever heard. I love the color choices they use, black, white, red. It's really like stimulating to my eye, and I love all the beautifully drawn designs all over this record. Just a standard black, but it feels really heavy, like it might be actually like 220, or maybe it's just like a really thick 180 pressing. But yeah, fantastic stuff. If you guys have not listened to Thom Yorke and you're into Radiohead, you're really doing yourself a disservice. This is probably better than a couple Radiohead records in my opinion. So the next 3 records admittedly are all Velvet Underground records, but what else do you expect? They're my favorite band. And this is the Velvet Underground Sceptre studio sessions. Now these were just studio sessions they did with their Velvet Underground and Nico material, and these had went unreleased for a long time until somebody circulated it, and then a couple record store days ago, I believe it was 2012 or 2013, they pressed these. They were numbered out of, I believe, 4,000 or something like that, and I have number 3,907, so very cool stuff. It's a standard pressing, but it's cool that they kept the original like looking labels on them. They're kind of like really rudimentary, just like somebody scribbled it on real quick like they would for studio sessions. So yeah, very cool. I just got this in today, so I've not had a chance to spin it, but I have listened to it elsewhere, and it is pretty cool hearing how different they are from their final versions. So this is yet another Velvet Underground Record Store Day item, and this is the Velvet Underground Live 1993, their historic reunion, and really cool stuff. I mean, again, I just got this in the mail today, so I haven't listened to it, but it's really cool. It's a 4 LP package. I believe this was limited out of 7,500, so not too limited, but still very, very cool. It's a 4 LP set, like I said, so I'm not going to show you all of the records. All of the inner labels and stuff are the same, but they all also come on this beautiful cobalt blue looking record, so very cool stuff. Again, haven't had a chance to spin it, don't know what the quality is like, but again, I just really like how they came back together, and they still had that same exact chemistry as they did back in 1966, 67 when they were recording all their albums. So very cool, happy to have this, and I got it for I think like $35 when it was originally like $75. Next up is the Velvet Underground Live Volume 1. Now, not only is this iconic, but it's also still stunning artwork. But yeah, Velvet Underground, they were a band whose live stuff I initially really hated, but as I grew more with different music and stuff, I really learned to appreciate a lot more about it. So really good stuff on here. It has a mix of tracks from Nico, Loaded, self-titled, so very cool stuff. On the inside of the gatefold, we get this really cool like saturated picture of the group and talking about the performance and such. And it comes with like this cool little back sheet that says the Velvet Underground Live Volume 1. So cool stuff. Like I said, really good stuff. And I just got this yesterday, and I was busy yesterday, so I didn't get to spin this yet either. And I'm expecting the next volume for next month's episode. Next up was a Discogs purchase, and this was like $15, and this was one of my favorite albums of last year's, Crying Beyond the Fleeting Gales. Now, this is a really fantastic, like, alternative indie style, like, rock, pop, electronic group. I don't know how you would categorize them necessarily. I just put them under that alternative umbrella. So, yeah, cool stuff. What's cool is this came with a download code, which is kind of mandatory, in my opinion, for records coming out in these last couple of years, and I dropped it by accident. But yeah, little download card. It's not hard to do, buddy. And really cool sleeve here. It's like just like this eggshell on the one side, and then this little poetry piece in here with some nice drawings. And it comes on this really interesting shade of yellow. It's almost like buttery or like margarine. So yeah, cool stuff. Again, great album. Definitely one of my favorites last year. So if you guys haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. Very underrated band currently. I guess the theme of this month is Record Store Day, because we have yet another Record Store Day piece. This is Joy Division's An Ideal for Living EP. This was pressed for Record Store Day in 2014 out of 7,500, and it had this alternate cover, which is cool because, you know, the original cover was pretty controversial. But yeah, really awesome. I really love the work they did on it though. Everything's all matte except for the Joy Division. It's like embossed and shiny. Really cool touch, and it's like a really nice kind of abstract black and white piece, which I'm a sucker for. So yeah, if you guys haven't explored Joy Division's first EP, it's definitely worth checking out. It's not the same as their later stuff, but it's most definitely worth checking out. It comes in these nice sleeves here. And yeah, it's just 2 songs per side, but yeah, if you're a big Joy Division fan and you haven't checked this out, you should definitely do so. And if you're trying to get into Joy Division, definitely listen to this at some point. So another really cool Joy Division piece. This is the Love Will Tear Us Apart single that just came out this year. I picked this up straightly because this thing's in a fucking cloth mesh bag. Like a straight up almost burlap bag. And that just bizarrely entranced me to it. So yeah, really cool stuff. On the inside of the burlap is just a black sleeve with 1 record. But yeah, like they screen printed onto this. It's like you can feel it. It's really just bizarre packaging, and I really like it. So yeah, on the side A, it's Love Will Tear Us Apart, and then on side B, it's Leaders of Men and the 12-inch remix of Love Will Tear Us Apart. So yeah, I love Joy Division, so this was cool. It was pretty cheap, and like I said, the packaging just intrigued me, so I had to get it. I got a couple Bjork records this month. You'll see some later. But this one is Vespertine. Now, I've been trying to collect the full Bjork colored vinyl collection. A couple years ago, they put out all of her albums on different colored vinyl, and I had none of hers, and so I just started picking up the colored ones. I really love the packaging on all of them, especially this one. It's super glossy. It's just all black, whites, and grays. It's so elegant and just gorgeous. I can't get over it. So, yeah, astounding packaging, always. And all the sleeves come with little notes on it talking about like the lyrics, and it'll have pictures on them. And like I said, they each come on different colored ones. So Vespertine is on white vinyl. Really gorgeous, just base white. Fits in so well with the cover art. And yeah, just fantastic stuff. I mean, Bjork's a goddamn legend. She's my favorite female artist of all time. And this is definitely one of her better albums in my personal opinion. I've been wanting this record for a couple years now, and this is a UK cover copy of Jimi Hendrix's debut album, Are You Experienced? Now, if you guys aren't aware, the US versus the UK version of Are You Experienced is a very different album experience. First off, the cover art is completely different, and the track listing is very different. They took out the 3 singles that Britain had put out because at the time, like, the Brits looked at putting singles on albums as a ripoff. And so they replaced songs like Purple Haze with songs like Red House, and it really was just a lot more bluesy and different. So if you guys really like Hendrix, I definitely recommend checking this out. It's a really cool piece to just examine in Hendrix catalog, because it's just so weird that 3 songs can change an album so much. So yeah, this is the newest reissue of it, obviously. So really good packaging, on point, and it sounds fucking amazing. So this was really the only main Hendrix piece I was missing from my collection, and this is Hendrix and the Band of Gypsies. Now, this is a fantastic live album. It's so sad to think that with this new group and this new sound that Jimmy was playing with, he could have done so much, but unfortunately, he left us far too early, as everybody knows. But he left us with this really cool snippet to ponder over. So yeah, fantastic packaging. The photos are so like oversaturated, and it just looks so cool. But yeah, fantastic stuff. If you guys like Hendrix and you haven't checked this out, it's really good. It leans more towards like the electric Ladyland sound. So if you're really into that, this will definitely pique your interest. So this last little batch of records all comes from a trade-in I did. I traded in a really expensive album that I had, and they gave me a lot of credit, so I got all of the following with credit. So the first thing I got is this bootleg called The Velvet Underground Praise Ye the Lord. Now, this store that I trade in stuff to, they have a lot of great bootlegs and stuff, but a lot of time they're really expensive, so I usually don't buy them unless I'm trading stuff in. But yeah, I got this, really happy with it. So it's just like a weird compilation of a bunch of different shows they did and stuff like that, and it's really just weird, but it's kind of interesting if you're really into the Velvet Underground. And it came on like this really nice maroon red vinyl, which I'm a sucker for that color, so yeah. It's appearing more crimson on camera, but it's definitely like a maroon color, so yeah. Again, I had trade-in credit, so I thought why not add more to my obsessive Velvet Underground collection. Again, with the Record Store Day shit, I got the Swans Debut EP. Now, this was a Record Store Day item a couple years ago, and yeah, they had it for $10. I'm a huge fan of Swans. I didn't have this, so this was an absolute no-brainer for me. But yeah, again, I've been adding a lot to my Swans collection just because I've simply been super interested in them. Really nice packaging. Again, love the color choice. Black and red is my all-time favorite color choice. And yeah, it comes with this white sheet, and it has all of the lyrics to all of the songs on it. So yeah, cool stuff. Really nice pressing as well. Like I said, Swans really kills it when it comes to their remasters and stuff. Like, all of their recent albums have sounded fantastic. So yeah, really cool stuff. Again, $10. Can't really say no to one of my favorite bands. Next up, another one of my favorite albums of last year. This is Solange's A Seat at the Table. Now, it makes me a little bit upset that Solange gets so overshadowed by Beyonce, because in my personal opinion, Solange has a lot more artistic vision and merit than her, especially on this album. She takes a lot of the racial issues that are going on in America right now and turns them into different little situations where you might not recognize what she's talking about unless you cue in and think from her perspective. And it's a really interesting and thought-provoking album, and just one of the best of last year. I definitely enjoyed this more than Lemonade. So if you guys like Beyonce, I definitely recommend that you check out Solange. So I was really into jazz last month, and so when I saw this, I had to get it. This is an original pressing of Dave Brubeck's Time Out. Obviously a classic jazz album, changed the formula, changed the game. It's just they did so much precise playing, and it all came together in one of the most striking and timeless pieces of music ever recorded. So yeah, it comes in these old school Columbia sleeves where they're polyline sleeves, excuse me. But yeah, original Columbia labels, cool stuff. And this sleeve is Browning, and it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, sounds good. Had a little bit of surface noise, but that's kind of to be expected from something that's coming out of the 1950s. But yeah, great stuff, and very happy to have it. Again, I was really into jazz last month, and this is Herbie Hancock's Headhunters. I've been wanting this album for a long time, but again, like most jazz records that I want, I always put it back in favor of something else. But when I had trade credit and I saw it, I was like, today's the day, boys. So yeah, Headhunters, classic album. I mean, Herbie was prime on this with all the funk and the soul elements, especially like Watermelon Man and Chameleon. I mean, they were just so funky and groovy, and they just make some of the most infectious rhythms. It's just definitely one of the best jazz albums of all time, and it melds so many different genres perfectly into itself. Had to support a local area hero. This is Kurt Vile, Waken on a Pretty Daze. Now, if you guys don't know, he's from the Philadelphia area, and I'm about an hour away. I was going to go to this mural, but unfortunately, when I went to go, they had unfortunately painted over it, which is really shitty. But yeah, fantastic album. I mean, he has like this spacey, folky rock, southern rock almost side to him, and it's just gorgeous. Again, gorgeous artwork, really just striking visuals on here, and again, the album is just phenomenal. It does come with the download code, and again, they're just on standard black, but all of the sleeves are picture sleeves. And again, this was pretty cheap if I remember correctly for a double LP. I think it was like $22. So yeah, again, just all this beautiful artwork on here. Definitely one of my favorite albums of this era so far. I think he just really combined all of the elements of his heroes into a way where you could tell he was wearing his heroes on his sleeve, but he also had his own style, and he was bringing something different to it. So it was a really refreshing take on a genre that's been kind of done in the past. So the last thing that I got in that record trade-in, this was Fugazi's self-titled EP. Classic punk material. If you guys don't know, Fugazi's one of my all-time favorite punk bands. They were huge in the shaping of my musical taste. Just some of the most fast, ferocious, yet melodic at the same time punk rock, where they could go super fast, but then they could go into a really nice melody, a really nice rhythm with one another. They were so in tune with one another, like chemistry-wise. It's just so astounding that they just made so many good songs and albums. Again, it comes with a download code, as Discords always do, and a really nice shot there, hitting the floor, and all of the track listing and the lyrics there. But yeah, fantastic packaging. Discord always kills it with the packaging and the pressings. They always sound fantastic. They always have a download code, and they're always like $15. So shout out to Discord, one of the greatest record labels of all time. So the other Bjork album that I bought myself this month, this is Medulla. So I adore this album very sonically because she only uses mouth sounds for her beats and stuff. And it is one of the most interesting albums I've ever heard. And again, Bjork always kills it with the photography and the pictures. I mean, she's goddamn Bjork. I really don't need to say much else about this woman. But anyways, yeah, again, they all come in really cool sleeves where they have the pictures kind of like in it, where you have to reflect it in the light to see it. And Medulla comes on like this blood red vinyl, which is super cool. So yeah, again, Bjork, greatest female artist of all time in my opinion. She really doesn't have a bad album, barely, and just okay album. So yeah, definitely one of my favorites from her. And the last thing that I got this month, this is going to sound crazy, but this is the most I've ever spent on a vinyl record, and this is the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack. Now, this is my all-time favorite soundtrack from my all-time favorite TV show on fucking vinyl. It was going to be inevitable that I was going to get it, so I decided to bite the bullet and finally just pay the money for it. So, yeah, it has a lot of the best tracks from the album. I mean, Tank, I would have paid the money I did just for Tank on vinyl, to be honest. Comes in black sleeves, which is sexy and fits the motif. And the records come on like this really nice 180 gram with these beautiful inner labels. So, yeah, kind of a no-brainer that this had to be in my collection. It was just a matter of when, and I decided that now is then. So, yeah, definitely one of my favorite pieces in my whole collection. Alright guys, so that is everything that I picked up in the month of September. Let me know down in the comments, what was your favorite thing I picked up? What would you like to see more of in my vinyl collection? Also guys, stay tuned for next week. I'm going to be doing my first ever product review, so stay tuned for that. And like I said guys, hit that like button, subscribe, and until next time guys, take care.